Voters in San Francisco last night sent a big message on public safety, recalling progressive district attorney Chesa Boudin after major public outcry that his approach on crime was too lenient on criminals. Now, Boudin is blaming the right for his loss.
People are angry. They're frustrated. And I want to be very clear about what happened tonight. The right-wing billionaires outspent us 3-1. They exploited an environment in which people are appropriately upset. And they created an electoral dynamic where we were literally shadowboxing.
Sounds like a bunch of excuses to me. The results, the people's voices were heard, and it sent a very clear message that even the most left-leaning cities are fed up with surging crime rates. Now, Los Angeles' George Gascon could suffer a similar fate. He's recently been under fire for issuing a very light sentence over a teen driver's hit and run. Public safety is everything. I mean, if you talk to any family, any mom or dad or teacher, anyone in any community, regardless of the divisiveness and politics, race, religion, or anything else, everyone wants to know that they can, be safe, that their children will be safe going to schools, that they can walk down the street in peace. And I think that's really what this DA is just completely lost. I served on the Honolulu City Council years ago. My district on the Honolulu City Council was 100,000 people, also the same size population as Mayor Pete's city of South Bend, Indiana. But I was chair of the committee that was responsible for public safety, police, fire, lifeguards, and understanding really this is not something theoretical. When you have homeless encampments, as we did on sidewalks, you have elderly, you have disabled, you have children being pushed out into busy streets just to be able to walk down the street. Those are the kinds of things that we could take action on and actually bring about a change, to clear those sidewalks and make sure the community is safe. There's so many other examples, and for this DA to be so out of touch is just mind-blowing to me. And Dana, I'll start with you. His response from that clip, blaming right-wing billionaires, and I think later he blamed the police.
I gotta say, if Chesa Boudin wants to feel better about himself, he should go and listen to this podcast that NPR did this morning, because the reporter basically gave him every excuse. It was the pandemic. Also, that he hadn't changed any policy that the previous person hadn't. That there were that people weren't really that upset about the quality of life. That it's just really been exaggerated by everyone. I couldn't believe this piece. And again, National Public Radio, just listened to it this morning. One of the Democrats that looks at all of these things from the third way, that group, they said if the Democrats on the far left do not see this as a wake-up call, they are looking at a permanent minority status. The other thing is that. If you look at who voted for Boudin, it was very similar to who voted for that woman who I can't remember her name. She was running against Eric Adams, the much more far left progressive here in New York City. It was the Maya Wiley, thank you. The ultra rich neighborhoods, the white liberal neighborhoods, they're the ones that voted for her, and they're the ones that voted for him. If you look at a map of who in San Francisco voted to recall Boudin, it's all the rest of the people. The rest of the thing is blue, and there's just that one neighborhood.
That's so interesting. This is kind of your home territory, isn't it, Greg?
Yeah.
How do you see, how did it get to this point where, go ahead.
You only have so much shelf space. I talked about this. So it's I'm okay with tackling pronouns and talking about statues and the offensiveness of holiday decorations. But first, get the basic stuff down. And what happened was they replaced the basic concerns with these external nonsense. So what happened was they also replaced the real victims of rape, assault, murder, family suffering, whatever any crime was replaced with these political identity victims of TikTok politics. The people that claim that their feelings are, that's what they chased. So I think that was probably the big problem. The other thing, I don't know if there's anything more dangerous to a minority population than a white leftist, because they can experiment with them. They can try out things and be immune from the consequences. So they can, they live in the better neighborhood, so they can say, hey, let's release the criminals. Not going to be my problem. I'm not going to be mugged, and I feel so good. I also want to say, I like this recall vote idea. Why don't they just make it automatic every 6 months? That way you can keep, because remember, this is a story of reality versus ideology in reality won. But look how long it took, 3 years since 2019. If you had an automated recall vote every 6 months, they would have stopped this thing well ahead and lives would have been saved.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of reality versus fantasy in this age of, words or violence, Judge, you've spent your entire career fighting for victims of crimes. To see a district attorney whose sole responsibility is public safety act in the way that he has got to just make your blood boil.
It makes my blood boil, and all the DAs that I still keep in touch with. I mean, the truth is the job of a prosecutor, an elected district attorney, is to enforce the law. It is not to worry about the defendant. That's the defense attorney's job and the judge's job. All right, but what we're seeing now, I believe, and I pray, that we're seeing the end of progressivism as it relates to the left. The left bought into this after George Floyd. They bought into this theory that, the criminal justice system is broken, and we're going to fix it. And we're going to have equal justice, and we're going to have equity, and we're going to have fair cash bail and all that stuff. But the truth is the system wasn't broken because Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd, was convicted of murder. He was convicted and he'll be in prison for the rest of his life. But now what they're seeing is that what we've done is we've created a scenario where the bad guys don't take DAs seriously and they're continuing to commit crimes, and it's a problem for everyone. And I think it kind of reminds me of the last segment with the White House, where the White House, on the one hand, is encouraging peaceful protests, but they're not enforcing the law. And then what they're left with is an unsafe environment in front of a Supreme Court justice's house. And that's what they're doing. It's all talk and no action.
And that's where, Jesse, they're clearly out of touch. This is one of many examples. I think they can take a lesson from your book and actually get out on the street and go talk to people.
Wow.
You really know what it takes. You ever have people over for a dinner party and they want to change everything about your menu? They get in the kitchen and they start adding things to the dishes that you don't want to do, like you have a lasagna. And they're like, well, why don't we fry it? No, you bake a lasagna. Well, let's put some white wine. No, we're serving red wine. That's what liberals do. They came in after 25 years of low crime rates and just wanted to experiment and just try out this new stuff that was just not commonsensical. So they come in and they say, you know what? Putting lots of people in prison, it's been working. Let's try something else. Let's empty the prison and just not prosecute everybody. And then so all hell breaks loose. And this is what happens when white guilt takes over. You have people that have white guilt, and they get in charge, they get control of things, and then they try to assuage the white guilt, and they try to let everybody out of prison. And then look what happens. It ends up hurting more minorities than anybody. And as you said, those people in that little white guilt paradise are immune from everything else. This is a big warning shot. First, it was the school board knuckleheads. Then it was the radical DA. The left is panicked over what they're seeing in a hardcore left-wing city of San Francisco.
Don't count out stupidity. It's not just white guilt. There's a lot of stupidity.
It's both.
No, it's people buying into words without looking at the actions that are taken in addition to the words.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.